Welcome back, Cannapreneur Partners Canna News Break. Some interesting statistics here on a Friday. Americans spent more than $12 billion on legal cannabis for the first 6 months of 2021. That is nearly as much as Americans spent on milk in all of 2020. Roughly $12.6 billion last year. Cannabis sales in the U.S. topped $18 billion in 2020. The 6 months trend in 2021 puts the industry on pace to reach $25 billion. That would represent a year-over-year increase of roughly 35%. That growth would continue the cannabis industry position as the nation's fastest growing industry. 2020 sales revenue increased roughly 60% over 2019's revenue. So, a lot of people are looking at the cannabis space as, and we'll continue to say this. We've said this for probably a year and a half now. Every estimate you see for the cannabis industry for sales is too low. And these numbers prove it, that every year these numbers are ratcheted up a little higher, and a little higher. As more states come online, as the organic market, as more consumers come into the market, as the, call them useless stigmas around the plant and what it can do and how it can help people are put aside, one by one because of research and actual studies and actual data, more and more people are entering the market. There's really some stunning numbers coming out like that. So Massachusetts, legal cannabis are on pace to reach $1.2 billion in 2021, which would be a roughly 70% gain over 2020. Mass adult use opened in November of 2018, and we are still seeing massive sales numbers. Colorado, the oldest adult use legal market in the United States, last year in a pandemic with no spring ski season, no winter ski season last year, still grew cannabis sales 25%, despite the fact that they lost millions of tourists last year because of COVID. That should show you if the oldest market in the U.S. can still grow sales 25% year over year during a pandemic, during a recession, when they lost millions of visitors to their state because of the pandemic. If that doesn't give you an indication of the strength and the power of this industry, I'm not sure anything will. Another study came out. Researchers at the Pitt Graduate School of Public Health found that in the first half of 2017, California, Maine, Massachusetts, Nevada all saw a decline in opioid-related emergency room visits post-legalization. Coleman Drake, the study's lead author and assistant professor for health policy and management, said the researchers found no evidence to support the theory that cannabis functions as a gateway drug. If anything, we find that recreational cannabis legalization decreases opioid-related emergency department visits. He also said hopefully this data once and for all puts a nail in the coffin that marijuana is a gateway drug. It would be useful to do qualitative research to ask people who use drugs what they were actually doing, that's a really unique thing, right? Let's find out what they're actually doing with the drugs. So again, we're finding study after study coming out and saying cannabis is not a gateway drug. Cannabis decreases emergency room visits. Cannabis decreases opioid overdoses. Yet some people still think it's actually a gateway drug. And along with that, the Surgeon General of the United States said, when it comes to decriminalization, I don't think there is a value to individuals or society to lock people up for marijuana use. I don't think it serves anybody well. And in 2015, he said, there is preliminary data showing that for certain medical conditions and symptoms, marijuana can be helpful. So you have the Surgeon General of the United States saying this. You have federal research studies saying teen use does not increase when we legalize cannabis in your state. We have federal research studies saying there's no evidence that cannabis levels and THC levels in your bloodstream affect your driving ability. We have federal studies saying several things that should dissuade people from some of the common misbeliefs that surround this plant to this day. So we'll bring you back more research as we get it, but I think we're finding the same thing that comes out every time you find one of these research studies, that everything you've been told about this plant prior to the last 10 to 15 years is probably demonstrably false. And now we have data and evidence proving it. So hope everybody has a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.